Alright guys, what's up? I'm Jesse, this is Melissa, and we're here with this beautiful view in the Arizona mountains. And today we wanted to talk to you about something that I feel like for a lot of our viewers, it is a pretty big decision.
Yeah, definitely. And we are talking about renting versus selling if you own your home.
There's a lot of pros, there's a lot of cons, so we kind of compiled a list and we just want to go through it and let you know our thoughts, our opinions. There's no right, there's no wrong. This is just kind of like, our thoughts and opinion. And we'll let you know what we did with our house. But before we go anywhere else, make sure you subscribe like always. And if you like the video towards the end, please give us a thumbs up. Bing, 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 bing,
bing, bing. So, I'm gonna talk to you about the pros of selling your home. First of all, if you sell, you have no mortgage, no bills, nothing tying you down. And obviously, if you have no mortgage payments and no bills, you're gonna have less stress overall, less repairs to worry about, none of that stuff. And it's just gonna reduce your stress overall.
Another huge pro of selling your home is that you're not gonna be tied down to a certain area. I mean, it's just more freedom. Just in general, you are detached from that area. And then on top of that, depending on where you are, depending on your location, you might walk away with a nest egg. Some people, get very lucky and they build up equity in their home throughout the years, and then they sell and they have a nice big chunk of change in the bank, which is great if you find repairs on the road with your RV. And it's just nice having that money there. Everybody likes having a savings account.
So to Jesse's point of not having ties in a certain area, that actually makes it a lot easier to establish domicile in a different state if that's what you're gonna do and if that's what works for you. Texas, Florida, and South Dakota are the three most popular for full-time RVers to establish domicile. And if you have no ties anywhere else, no official ties anyway, it definitely makes that process a lot easier.
All right, there's obviously pros, there's obviously cons. Probably the biggest con in our eyes is that if for some reason you don't like RV life, it can be a little more difficult. You have to buy a new house or rent a house at that point if for some reason you don't like, the RV life, RV living. So if you have a house, there's somewhere to go back to. If not, otherwise it's kind of like starting over.
Yeah, so that can be a big risk. So another con of selling your house is that it can take a long time to sell, and that whole process can be stressful. There are tons of things that can go wrong, and if you're trying to coordinate a specific launch date with buying an RV or selling, then that can just cause a lot of unnecessary trouble.
Yeah, we have bought and sold houses already at our young age, which you can't talk about a lady's age. But anyways, selling is definitely a lot more frustrating and stressful than buying. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. This is one that is extremely important to us. And that is the fact that if you sell, you might not have an income. We actually are able to make a little bit of money every month on our property because we're located in Southern California, and that's just the going rate for renting out a home.
It's an awesome rental market in California.
So for us, we do cover, our fees to our property management company. We cover expenses pretty much, and we make a little bit of money every month. So I know that different markets, that might not be the case, but for us, kind of made sense.
Mm-hmm. Is that a pro of renting?
Well, it's a con because you won't have
you won't
money.
have those things.
You won't
if you
have
sell.
that money coming in if you sell.
So that's a con of selling. Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's what I said in the beginning.
Yes, I'm sorry, I got confused.
We nailed that one.
I got confused.
We nailed that one. So,
the last con that we could think of when it comes to selling your house is that you will have to get rid of everything and potentially get a storage unit if there is anything that you do want to keep. And everybody that has gone full-time knows what a huge process that is.
I mean, we did so many garage sales. We gave away so much stuff. We went to Salvation Army, Goodwill. We took loads to the dump. You just collect so much stuff over the years. And if you're selling your house, you've got to get rid of all of that. And that is a huge, huge process.
Yeah, we spent about 6 months or so getting rid of everything, having multiple garage sales, and by the end of it we filled the truck up I think twice and took it to Goodwill because none of it was selling at that point and we were just ready to get rid of it. And it can also be, depending on how attached you are to your stuff, yes, it is liberating to get rid of, but it can also be an emotional process as well. I definitely struggled with that much more than Jesse did, and now I'm grateful that we did it, but again, it can be emotional.
All right, so now we are on to renting your home. And like always, there's gonna be some cons. One of the major cons is that if your renters don't pay, you're on the hook. You're on the hook for potentially a fairly large mortgage. Especially us in SoCal, mortgage rates are not too low. So if they don't pay, you're gonna have a really big added expense when you're out on the road living your RV dreams. So that's something to be extremely aware of. This can be a big one. This is definitely a con, and it is repairs. You know, your tenants can break something, or just something breaks in general, and it can get expensive. I mean, out in Southern California, you know, you have AC systems. I mean, there's everything. I mean, the house needs a new roof, or
if anything breaks, you're responsible to get it fixed. And that can be stressful, especially if you didn't hire a property management company.
Yes.
Because normally those would handle it for you. And that's definitely
what she said, that's definitely something that a lot of people don't want to worry about. You know, along with what I said before about being on the hook for payments, you can be on the hook for repairs, and a lot of people don't want that stress.
So another con of renting, if you choose to do something short-term like Airbnb or VRBO, there is a potential higher cost of upkeep in between those rentals. And if for some reason they're not renting at any specific time, you're essentially losing out on that potential income. If you rent, you are going to have to get some sort of mail forwarding service or a new mailing address. That could be a family member, a friend, or what have you. But you're pretty much going to have to get your mail forwarded somewhere else.
Or Scapies has a great mail forwarding service as well.
Now we are finishing up with the pros of renting out your house if you go full time. We are choosing the best for last because in our opinion, this is the best, but that's only true for us.
Yes.
Your individual situation might be completely different.
This is what we do. We rent out our house, and so far it's been pretty good. So let's start with the number one pro of renting out your home. Depending on your market, it can be an extra source of income. It's true for us, but like we said, we're in Southern California. Other markets might not be the same, but that's one of the main reasons we chose to keep our house and rent it out.
Yep, high five.
Bam.
Nice.
Another pro is
building equity.
Basically, if you rent out your home, you're still having that mortgage hopefully being covered, and hopefully you're making extra money like we just stated. And it's kind of like somebody is just putting money into a savings account for you that you can kind of choose to cash out whenever you want. It can be when it's paid off. It could be, 5 years after RVing if you decide that's what you want to do. But basically, if it's being covered and hopefully you're making extra, it's like a piggy bank.
Yeah, and you always have it there in case your circumstances change and you decide down the line that you do want to sell. Another great reason to rent out your house is it is your backup plan in case you don't like RVing. We mentioned that earlier, but the travel lifestyle isn't for everybody. And you always have that to go back to if you decide it's not for you.
Yeah, that kind of goes both ways. It's a pro and a con. So that's good.
So one final point, if you keep your house, then you might have a place for some storage for all that crap that you didn't get rid of.
Yep, you got to remember that when you're creating your lease, there's certain things you can do. It might take you longer to rent it out. But for instance, with us, we had this kind of strange room off the back of our house, and we decided to rekey it. It had an exit from the outside, and we locked it from the inside, so the renters just basically don't have access to that room. And now we have some sentimental stuff that was larger and heavier that we didn't want to bring on the road, but we didn't want to get rid of. And it doesn't cost us any additional money.
There's a few pieces of furniture that I couldn't part with. I know, I'm so weird. A lot of pictures, a lot of sentimental stuff like that.
You probably couldn't part with it because it was handmade by me.
By this guy, handmade.
All right, guys, so hopefully this video was helpful. Obviously, by now, you know that we rented out our home, and it just made sense for us, and there's no right or wrong.
I mean, we're lucky. We have great renters.
Yes, we have great renters with a property management company. It's easy, and not that they get that involved, but my parents do live across the street from our house, so if there's anything, he's gone over there, I think, once to kind of look at something, and they figured it out. So that was another thing that worked for us. But like we said, these are just opinions, and we just give you some stuff to think about, because a lot of people are like, do I buy, do I sell? And there's just so much that goes into RVing, because you're kind of disconnecting in a sense, but it's up to you what you want to do.
And depending on your individual situation, it might be a good idea to try to refinance before you hit the road, if maybe you can lower your payment, depending on the interest rates at the time.
That's a very good point. We'll call that a bonus point. Potentially refi before you go. And I mean, realistically, you could pull out money to buy your trailer if you wanted to as well. That's another option.
That's a possibility, absolutely.
But yeah, like always, guys, please subscribe. It really helps us out. And anything else to say about that?
I think that's it.
Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some knowledge.